In order to keep your bike in the best condition and make sure that you're as safe as you can be, you have to remember to do your daily and your weekly checks. Luckily, there's one acronym that covers both, so I'll show you guys that now. The acronym is BOLTS with 2 S's. B stands for brakes. For this, you want to check that the front and rear brakes are both operating and releasing smoothly. So if your bike has a center stand, this is really easy. You pretty much just want to put the bike on the center stand, spin the front wheel, hold in the front brake, and check that the wheel stops spinning. While you're holding in the front brake, try and move the front wheel and it shouldn't move. Release it, spin the wheel and it should spin freely again. And then do the exact same thing for the rear brake. If your bike doesn't have a center stand, I'll show you an easy way to do this as well. First you want to get on the bike and take it off its side stand. Now what you're going to do is you're going to roll the bike forward, and as it's rolling forward you're going to hold in that front brake and the bike should stop. So I'm going to do that now, and you can see that as I'm holding in that brake, the bike isn't moving. Now you're going to release it and you're going to do the same thing again, and the bike should move freely again. If there's any sort of locking up or anything like that, then there's something in the brakes that you're going to have to look into. You're then going to repeat that process with the rear brake. So again, roll the bike, push in the rear brake, the bike shouldn't move. Then when you release that rear brake, it should move smoothly again. So here I'm pushing on that rear brake, that bike isn't moving, and I'm going to release it, and you can see that it's rolling smoothly again. That's as much as you want to do for both a daily and a weekly check, so this is quite a simple one. O stands for oil. For a daily check, you pretty much just want to check that oil isn't leaking from the bike. So if you walk around the bike, have a look, you shouldn't see any puddles of oil or anything like that, or oil on any of the components there. For a weekly check, you actually want to check your oil level, and you can search how to do this for your bike, but pretty much you want to remove the dipstick, clean it off, replace it without screwing it in, and then measure the oil level. You want to do this while the bike is upright, so either have somebody help you hold it upright, or hold it up yourself, but you don't want to do this while the bike is on its side because you're going to get an incorrect reading. L stands for lights. You want to check anything that has a bulb in it pretty much, so headlights, stop lights. You want to check that they're all working. The first thing you want to check is your neutral indicator light. So here I've turned the key 1 turn and I'm going to start the engine. Now I'm going to put the bike in gear and I want to check that that light goes off. And you can see that it has gone off. So now I'm going to put it back into neutral. And the neutral light's back on again, so you know that that's working fine. The next thing you want to check is your headlight and beams. So first, I'm going to put my beam on, and it's a little bit difficult to see, but you can see that lights come on to tell you that the beams are turned on. Check that it's on at the front. Now I'm going to turn it off, and you can see that the indicator's gone off, and also the beams have gone off at the front, so it's just a normal headlight working there. Next you want to check the indicators. So here I'm checking the left indicator. You want to check the front and the rear ones are both working. Then check the right ones. You can see that they're both working here. And then check that they turn off again. You also want to check that your stop light or your brake light's working. So what you want to do is either have someone stand behind you and let you know if it's working, or if you reverse the bike near to a shiny thing like a window or a car or something. And then what you want to do is you want to check that the light comes on when you're operating the rear brake, and also when you're operating the front brake. T stands for tyres. For this, you want to check your tyre pressure, but you also want to check the condition of the tyre. So, for pressure, if you have something like a portable pressure gauge or a small inflator or something, that makes it really easy to do. Or usually you can find a pressure gauge in a petrol station or something like that. So you can find what the pressure is supposed to be in your owner's manual or service manual, and pretty much just check that they're there. This is something you want to do every week. For a daily check, you want to check the condition of your tyres. Look for things like even wear all over the tyre. If there's one side more worn than the other side, it's a sign that there's something else wrong with your bike. And look for obvious things like nails and stones sticking out of the tyre as well. The first S stands for steering. What you want to do here is you want to get on the bike and you want to check that the steering moves freely. So check that you can move it all the way to the left and then all the way to the right again. So I'm going to take the steering lock off and do that now. And you can see that I can move the handlebars full lock both ways. There shouldn't be any clicking, resistance, or any weird noises, so if you hear any of that, it's something that you're going to need to look into. The second S stands for suspension. For this, you want to check that the front and rear suspension both operate smoothly and release smoothly, pretty much the same as the brakes. So again, you want to get on the bike, center your handlebars and push down on the front suspension. You can see here that mine's moving freely, and you want to check if there's any oil you can see on the forks here. It might be a sign that your bike needs some new bearings or something like that, so this should be completely clean. You want to do the same for the rear suspension, so you can either get on the bike, but since my suspension's quite soft, I'm just going to push it, and you can see that it's moving freely. So that's a quick overview of the BOLTS acronym. It's one I find super helpful to remember what I'm supposed to check every day and every week, so let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.